You alone have the power to make.
I know, I felt a lot better before now, like.
Oh, yeah. No, who gave me this and why do I care?
This is this part of our, it looks like they did it for the health insurance. Oh, no, love your info.
No, this is something.
Hello, everybody.
This is something about. Everybody.
Oh,
That's everybody. It was funny, so I've got instrumentation, I can look and see how much I'm using and what the bandwidth is I'm using.
I'm gonna start
I mean,
wearing
most of the time. I don't get about.
I have
I
one.
get a negative,
I would like to wear that.
right?
I don't know. I don't.
Give you, it's 1,000. negative.
Okay, yes, yes.
What's that? Don't think I use that.
Yeah. We don't need that.
Well, maybe some people do.
We got 7:30, let's call the meeting to order.
Well,
Allegiance, John, let's get to go.
Yep.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty then.
Roll call, please. Mr. Dudley. Ms. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Harney. Here. Mr. McGuire. Mr. Thorne.
Here.
Ms. Bo.
Here.
We've got 4 trustees in the village present. We have a quorum, we have a meeting. There is no request from the trustee to attend electronically. We do have Eugene Van, our finance director, attending remotely, and we have Mrs. Detmer, our building code official, attending remotely this evening. And we'd like to thank our trustee who is serving as the backup AV guy tonight, Mr. Thorne.
It has a knife, it's like.
Okay, moving on into the minutes, we have a motion to approve the minutes of November 8th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Thorne, seconded by Bo. Any additions, corrections? Deletions? Not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion so carries. Thank you all. Next item is the president's report. The first item of the president's report is the civility pledge, and this evening the duties fall to Mr. Harney.
In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective.
All right,
Well done.
thank you, Ed. Okay, after that, president's report. First off, this morning, the village engineer and I met with an individual representing the fiber optics industry.
Wow.
He had a proposal to the village to make, and that is his company is interested in installing fiber optic from the street to the houses in the village of Sleepy Hollow. And he was here to find out if we had any objections to having fiber optic laid through the village. This would be, it would be a buried line. They do not like to go above line of ground. They prefer below ground. There would be no charge to the village outside of what it would cost us to the village engineers on the permit process. Now, that could be a bit of an expense. But in talking with them this morning with Jeff, they said that they would do their permits in the range of 300 to 500 units at a time. And not come in and do 5 or 10 houses at a time for a permit. So that Jeff would be looking at one permit that would cover 300 to 500 connections. Okay, so they wouldn't be coming back every month for more permits. So I said, that's their proposition to us. No cost to us other than what the engineers will charge for the permits. And this, if we agree, if there's a consensus tonight and we move forward, then the people will take it to their board of directors in December or January to see if they can get approval for the financing to do this, and then they will contact us. And they will set up meetings with Homes Engineering and then with Detmers for anything that goes into the houses.
What kind of interaction is there between Metronet and Xfinity?
There is none.
Okay,
Not with like AT&T.
There's no,
Nothing.
this is a separate entity, totally.
well, they have to tie into, I'm sorry. go
They,
ahead.
they are a telecommunicator. They're tying into the network somewhere, but they're not tying in with, as far as we know, Comcast or Xfinity or AT&T. They've got their own connections somewhere.
Hmm.
So, yeah, and they're not a new player. They've been around. They're in 21 states. Right now, I think they're South Elgin to Aurora and west and around and over to the Quad Cities of Moline and then back up through, I think they're working in Rockford and in Loves Park right now in that area. And what they want to do now is come back into the Chicago area, start with Dundee, East Dundee and Sleepy Hollow and move north to the border.
Or West Dundee and East Dundee.
And they're in conversations right now with them also.
Yeah, just as Elbert Engineering.
It's, I'm looking at this as some sort of not an investment, but something they're doing for the future, because honestly, right now, most of the time, I don't get much above 100 megabit or 150 megabit. And I do lots of stuff, right? And I mean, I'm not really challenging even the bandwidth I've got, which is under 500 megabit. So, I suppose it won't hurt anything to have that kind of bandwidth, but
What kind of disruption would that be to the, it's not a cost to us per se, except for the permits, but what kind of like what has to be torn up in order to do this? And then what has
Well,
to
they're gonna be
back?
going through the right of ways,
Okay,
okay? And
so
they're
we're
going
looking
to
at
be,
yards
there's
as
gonna
well as
be
street area.
holes, there's gonna be those little bunkers that they put in the ground, handhold things through the right of ways.
Okay,
And then when they trench into the house, when anybody connects, then they would just simply run a slit line trench
okay.
with that. They've got a whole process set up on this. And what we give them the go ahead and they get the go ahead from their end to move in. There will be a mailer that will go out. There will be, that'll go out like 30 days before any construction starts. Then there's another mailer that will go out 14 days before it. Then there is a hang tag or a yard dart that is placed in the yard just before the process begins.
Okay.
They will also put up notices at the entranceways, for example, Saddle Club. If they start on Saddle Club, they'll put a note at the entranceway, construction underway. Okay,
so another ticklish spot is that most people actually have the Xfinity cable modem built in with the Wi-Fi. And so the question is what are they going to come in with and will it plug into that?
I don't know exactly
Yeah.
all the techniques on it,
Yeah.
but they did say that if they come to town, you can see Xfinity and AT&T starting to dance.
That was gonna be my question. If someone,
If someone new comes into town, they said you're gonna see changes in the plans, changes in the rates.
right, and my next,
No, I'm done.
kind of piggybacking off of what you said, if somebody has Xfinity or Comcast, is this something that they have to do? We don't
No,
know.
nobody has to do this at all. It's gonna be down the back of the lot lines in the easement. And if you decide you wanna go with MetroNet and fiber optics, you call, they will come out and connect you to
Okay,
their fiber optic.
okay, that was my
Okay.
question.
It's a separate company, separate utility issue. They're registered with the state,
Okay,
but they're looking to expand. They're wondering if we were interested. It's an alternative to a cell tower. It's a big alternative to a cell tower.
One
The
other,
other thing they were talking about is that historically, they have found that the real estate will increase anywhere from 2 to 12% once the fiber is installed.
Wow.
that makes
Because,
sense.
people are looking for that bandwidth, that speed.
oh, yeah,
And that's what the realtors are saying. They come look at how, and then families are wanting, do you have fiber optic? Do you have? So with all the brouhaha we went through for years over a cell tower. And nothing has changed. They want to bring it in, they can still do a cell tower and those individual towers. But those, we already know, will take 35 to 45 telephone poles to be installed in the village to be effective. So I don't know, fiber optic sounds like below ground.
When it does potentially creep up on competition with Xfinity and AT&T, is fiber optics, not familiar with technology, is that something where each entity will have to come in and put in their own fiber optics, or something like, are we gonna have to do this 2 more times down the road in theory, or will they maybe come up with,
Well,
do we even know at this point?
AT&T and Comcast are already in town.
Okay.
They're already in the ground.
Oh, they are, so they would just
So
be,
they would just be replacing stuff,
okay,
but they would still have to be doing the permits.
yeah,
That was part of this operation this morning with the conference. What were our permits requirements? What were we going to ask for them? You know, that's what they wanted to know.
what did we ask of them?
That was the engineer. He went through his litany. And as I said, the one thing, he didn't want to get nickel and dimed.
Mhm.
He didn't want 2 or 3 little permits for 2 or 3 little jobs.
Yeah,
You know, if you're gonna do this, can you, yeah. And the representative said that they typically look at 300 to 500 units in a permit. So they could do Sleepy Hollow in maybe 2 or 3 permits. So that would be, you know, of course, the bigger the permit, the little bit more time the engineer's gonna take, but still.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
it's nice to get.
if there's a
competitive
bump
edge.
in the real estate property values, that's a bump in our increase of this share.
Mhm.
And we don't have to raise taxes.
And just,
Hey, if a resident doesn't own it,
They don't.
They
have
don't
to
they
pay.
can say they don't have to do it.
and I just remember living in the city 10 years ago when fiber optics were coming in there to different neighborhoods, and people were very interested, and where I was living at the time, we were disappointed we didn't have it, and it's just interesting, 10 years now, and here out in a village, 47 miles out, there's an opportunity, so I think it's nice to have some competitiveness, it's nice to have other options, and this would be a benefit to the
So the general
prices.
consensus is we just go ahead, see what.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason against it,
Yeah.
no.
Contact them and tell them if they can keep us on their
Sure.
agenda for the board meeting in January.
Yeah, and just in the
Okay.
quick look I looked here from what you said with Aurora and South Elgin, St. Charles, Elburn, and Geneva also have indicated that they're getting fiber optics, so consistent with what they were saying.
And I'd be curious to see what West Dundee and East Dundee, what they decide to do, but like, you know, Ed said, if they put it in, let's say we decide to take it and the neighbor decides that, that's okay, they don't have.
Comcast and AT&T have already run fiber into the village, but they've run it to their boxes.
I
And
know,
then from their
It's all
box,
copper from there.
it's all copper,
Yeah.
coaxial cable.
Yeah.
So they've never made an attempt to come in and say, hey, we want to go to the door. We want to go house to house.
right,
So are we gonna entertain anything if, let's say, Xfinity comes along and says, hey, you know, I can,
That's good.
No, what Xfinity will do is just simply send us a request for a permit.
Xfinity will.
They've already got their stuff in the
Oh,
ground.
you mean for them to do it as opposed to these guys? Oh, okay,
These guys are brand new. They've never put a shovel in the ground in Sleepy Hollow.
okay,
You know, Xfinity's already in the ground. If Xfinity wants to meet these guys, all they've got to do is come in with a permit for Jeff. And, you know, game
Yeah.
on. But
Oh.
these guys are brand new. They've never met us, didn't know how we operated. They wanted to get face to face, which is a bit unusual these days, you know.
Steve.
that's
did they-
okay.
Did they ever, talk to you about rates at all, like what, nothing yet to that point? Okay.
Yeah, we'll need to, yeah, that,
That's personal, individual, and you can't get involved.
You can still turn it down.
so, and let's say Xfinity or Comcast or whoever, they do it, and does what, no matter whose fiber is in the ground, is it still having the same effect on the property values?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you've got this in the neighborhood,
Yeah,
so the neighborhood will float up.
okay, okay,
So, and I said, after all that brouhaha on the water or the cell tower. So no objections. I will give them agenda tomorrow and tell them to please keep us on the agenda and let us know after the first of the year.
great.
All right,
That's-
the next item for the president's
Can I just
report.
add one little thing, I just noticed, because I was kind of curious about what it would do to the neighborhood. I'm just looking on their main site, and what's nice is they even have a section about questions about the MetroNet construction in your area with like questions, ticket number lookups, visit the the deadline, the timeline.
They
It
are
just seems-
very involved in, you know.
Yeah,
and
I
said
like the
they-
setup.
He went through his work process, and if they get a permit and they come in, they say they're gonna work from here to here. When the first crew that does the boring reaches X, they go back to A and start restoration.
Oh, okay.
They do their restoration the
I
same
think
day,
that was kind of, thank you,
instead
that's
of
what I was
coming
going
back
for.
a week or two later.
Okay,
They're,
even better.
they've got their crew to fall back. When they do the last hole, then that crew goes back and starts the restoration, and when the crew doing it, they go back and help and work out the day.
Okay.
So that was one of their questions. How long can we work in the village during the day? When can we come in? So, you know, they've got quite a process. I said, when it gets to communication, these people will be, you know, in touch with them, I think, all the way from what they've been showing.
Encouraging, yeah.
Okay. I'll thank you folks on that one. The next item is Bonkowski Road. West Dundee has sent us notification, saying us, the Village of Sleepy Hollow, that as a home rule community, they will be lowering the speed limit at the intersection of Bonkowski and 31 from 45 to 35 because of the new addition of the park there at the corner. They have asked the Village of Sleepy Hollow to consider lowering our section of Bonkowski Road to 35. They have also requested the township reduce the speed limit on their section of Bonkowski from 45 to 35. Now, as I pointed out, West Dundee is a home rule community. They can do so at their own discretion, change the speed limit. Sleepy Hollow, as a non-home rule community, cannot do so. We must first obtain a traffic report to analyze the traffic and make the decision as to whether we can go to 35. The township also has to do a traffic report, and that is the decision of the township road supervisor, not the township supervisor. So the road direct supervisor gets that call. Well, they're going to have to get a traffic study also, and since they are part of the county government, they will most likely engage the county for their traffic study. I made a call this morning asking to be notified if the Dundee Township does decide to lower their speed limit and request a traffic study, that we be notified and we can possibly piggyback in on the county's study at that point and maybe save us some money.
How much do those studies normally cost?
It depends on how in depth they go and how long they're out there, but I want to say the last one we did on Sleepy Hollow Road was almost $10,000.
How much?
$10,000.
So what happens if we don't?
If we
Change.
don't, we have 45 miles an hour, and then you come up to a wall at 35 in West Dundee, and I'll bet you there'll be an officer writing tickets for a long time there.
Oh, hey. Well, this is getting complicated.
Well, they'll be on their side, not our side,
Yeah.
because they'd be 45 here and 35 there. We don't know whether the township is,
They might.
as I said, it's actually a decision of the road superintendent and not the township supervisor, so.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. I'll reach out to Mr. Schultz tomorrow and see what his plans are on it.
Interesting that they decided to do that after they put a park, instead of looking at that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen overnight,
No.
for sure.
Mm.
But they'll be going down to 35 shortly, so.
Hmm.
We will be watching that and bringing that back to you as it develops. Then the last item I've got for this evening. If you recall earlier, we were talking about the possibility of modifying our ordinances to include a village administrator in the hiring process. I've reached out to the individual from the Illinois County and City Government Management Association and asked if he would be willing to come address this board. He has offered us 2 dates. Saturday afternoon of December 14th in the afternoon, say about 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
What day again?
Saturday, December 14th. He could do an afternoon. Or Monday evening, the 16th, which is our regular scheduled trustee meeting. He could do it that evening.
Why don't we just do that? I mean, that seems to make sense, doesn't it?
16th,
I'd rather do later, yeah, if that's okay.
okay. I told him I'd get back. I just,
I'm double booked dog sitting on the same.
we could slide
You
it in
get some
for a
perfect
half
emails from
hour.
the dogs.
or
if you're not
so.
careful.
I mean,
Yeah.
the 16th of December is a meeting before the holidays, and it's usually pretty quiet and easy going unless we got a calendar of the meetings to approve.
And this is for village manager.
Administrator.
Yes, okay.
Mhm.
The manager is
Is the-
the one that's authorized by the state and is a home rule type of. We could do it, but we'd have to do by referendum.
Yeah.
And then the state dictates their job description.
Hmm.
Whereas with the village administrator, it's an ordinance that just establishes a position with the village dictating the job description. So that's the big difference.
Okay.
That way, the board still stays in control. If a village administrator, they can request a hire, they can request a fire, but they cannot of their own hire or fire. A manager on his own can hire and fire.
Right.
Without board approval, so that's,
Yep.
So if that's the consensus, I will let Mr. Thompson know that December 16th, we will have a time for him on the agenda. And we'll give him half hour, 45 minutes to go through what he has to tell us about the administrator situation, to do it with the Village of Sleepy Hollow. Any questions on that? All right, well, that wraps up the president's report for the evening. Clerk's report?
Well, as you know, the clerk has a non-speaking role, so the clerk has no report tonight. But sitting in my capacity as local election official.
Oh, we forgot that one.
It's my pleasure to announce that we have a multitude of people that are seeking to serve the best interests of the village. And for the first time in recent history, there will be a lottery runoff for the two candidates to not runoff, but excuse me, a lottery selection for the two candidates running for village president. And they are two current trustees, one by the name of Courtney Bowe and the other one by the name of Jennifer McGuire. They both appeared at the village hall, the first at the same time when it opened last Tuesday. And so by the state election law, they get to have a ballot. I'm not sure exactly when or how that's going to be, but those will be the two candidates running for village president. We have 5 people who are interested in sitting on this side of the table, folks. The first one knocking on the door is a man by the name of William Hoff. I'm sure you all know who he is. By virtue of the fact that he was here first, he is first in line in terms of listed on the candidates for the ballot for trustee. These are all 4-year terms that are being sought. The next one is some guy by the name of Donald Zamba, and the name rings a bell. But I was happy to report that Don, who psyched me out for quite a few days, saying, "Oh, I'm not going to run," decided that he would yank my chain one more time and run. So he's a candidate. Another youngster by the name of William Kennelly has submitted a packet. Save that stern look. It'll serve you well here. I can assure you. And then adding a more seasoned and intelligent name to this list, a person by the name of Kelly Thomas, who has been on this side for a long time and has learned that a smile will disarm anybody. So that's the fourth person. And the fifth person is one that showed up today. A person by the name of Sandra Lusardo. I don't know if I mispronounced that person's name. I apologize. I know nothing about her other than what I read on paper, and she is number 5. So we have 5 people running for village trustee, the 4-year term. And then we have the 2 individuals running, current trustees running for village president. And that is the end of the local election officials report. See you.
Remind me to modify his job description. Also to include local elected officials.
Color commentating. That's it.
I've been waiting for years.
Every 2 years, he like the cadence.
It's been 17 years since I contested
Only noisier.
Let the record reflect that the gloves are off.
Oh, boy.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Mills, for reporting on the turtles.
Just call me Leo.
Yeah, it's been 8 years I've been waiting for somebody to step up. Okay, that's it, Tony. Thank you very much. Planning and zoning, Mrs. Detmer is with us. Mrs. Detmer.
Good evening, everyone. The Planning and Zoning Commission met last week and we did a tour of the shopping center to take a look at the signage out there. Also took into consideration the direction that you folks gave with regard to election signs. And what the PCC discussed was that they would like to be able to take a look at some of the different areas of the zoning ordinance and try and do a little bit of a, shall we call it a cleanup, in order to save the village money in doing additional public hearings for text amendments. So one of the discussions that they're having is pulling all of the sign regulations out of the zoning ordinance and moving it under Title VII for building regulations. But that recommendation has not completely grown, so to speak. A review of other communities. Most of them have them in the zoning code, but there are 2 or 3 that I checked that have them under the building regulations. The one nice thing about having it under the building regulations is if it needs to be changed or updated or modified, whichever you want to use it, you don't have to do a public hearing, where when all of the signage requirements are under the zoning, obviously we have to have a public hearing. So that's kind of where we're at. No decision was made as to the exact date that we'd be going for public hearing, but we're doing some research on the political signs as was requested.
Anything else?
No, sir.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you, Barb. Appreciate it. Glad you could
Thank-
join us this evening.
Thank you.
All right, the next one is the attorney's report. Mr. Schuster is not with us this evening and has left no report. The next item is the engineer's report, and Jeff's report is in your file if you care to read it and comment on it. It was quite extensive.
That's very long.
I think it covered everything. Then that brings us to the Director of Finance report, Mr. Vane, who is attending the Finance Institute at the moment. Joins us remote. Eugene?
I'd like a motion for the accounts payable in the amount of $184,670.38.
So moved.
Second,
Moved by Thorne, seconded by Bo to approve the accounts payable for November 18th, 2024 in the amount of $184,670.38. Any additions, deletions, comments, or questions? Everybody's shaking their head okay, then we'll do a roll call.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes,
Mr. Harney, Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Ms. Bo.
I
4 affirmative votes. That so carries unanimously. Thank you, one and all.
And I got a call from Brian Mock, our health insurance agent. And we are up for renewals for our healthcare policies for the employees of the village. They took a look at what is out there, and what's out there is not necessarily good. If we keep our current plan, it would result in a 10.4% increase. If we decreased our benefits, it would still be a 2.25% increase, and it would be a significant reduction in the benefit. To have our same plan but have a different provider other than Blue Cross Blue Shield would result a 21.45% increase. I talked to some of the other fellow treasurers here, and they're hit by even worse than these cost increases. As part of the PowerPoint that he had distributed and that I had given to you guys, it is showing that the escalating cost of healthcare is just going far above, while other costs are going down, healthcare is just accelerating in speed. So I leave it up to you guys on what you want to, renew. The one good thing is that we got the ancillary healthcare, like the dental and vision and stuff like that, would now also renew on January 1st at no change in what we're currently paying.
Well, so we got three choices. Stay where we are and go up 10.4%. Or decrease the employees' benefits and still go up 2.1%. Or go to a new provider and go up 21.45%.
I move to do the 10.4% that we can discuss. I move to keep the same current plan as well as the provider with the 10.4% increase.
I agree.
Second.
Motion,
I moved.
Moved.
Yeah.
Second.
moved by Bo, seconded by Harney to accept the 10.4% increase by the current plan by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Okay. Any other comments, questions, or discussion on this? This is quick. It's good. No other comments or questions?
Well, I agree. We
Yeah.
can't take away from our employees. We
Yeah.
can't.
Historically, we have never done that.
And that just would not be right.
Our salaries aren't high enough to warrant a decrease on them.
What does that equate to a dollar amount?
It was,
10% is approximately.
it's,
Did you hear the question, Eugene?
Yeah, it's $13,258.08 per year.
Oh, okay. Oh, not bad. Okay, on the motion to approve the current plan with a 10.4% increase, roll call please.
Mr. Harney,
All right.
Ms. Thomas,
I,
Ms. Bo,
aye.
Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
4 affirmative votes, no negative votes, the motion so carries. Thank you all.
That's all I have.
Okay, Eugene, thank you very much. Getting wiser down there?
A little bit. It's we've had some good presentations.
Good,
So
good.
I've got some notes to take back.
Okay, good. Look forward to seeing you when you get back.
Looking forward to getting back.
Okay, have a safe trip home. All right, comments from the public. Public tonight. Move to trustee reports. Roads and parks, Mr. Harney.
A couple items, one quick one, speed humps on Locust, Public Works reports will be removed no later than Friday.
Hmm.
Okay, the second thing, not as quick, the results from the Saddle Club Park survey came in. There were 37 surveys handed out, given to the nearby residents near the park. 30 of them were returned, many of them with comments. In your packets tonight, you have 30 pages of their responses and the results. I would assume, in fact, I can say it should be, the total survey should be put online on the website in the near future. But I'll just give a quick recap of what we've been told. again, before I get into that, remember in May, in the village survey, every resident was able to express an opinion on how we want to prioritize village expenditures. And there were some Saddle Club specific questions in that survey also. So, but as far as the Saddle Club survey from those residents, what was made clear? And the survey was, it was yes, no, but it was a weighted yes, no. In other words, you could emphatically say yes or emphatically say no to certain items from on a 1 to 10 scale. But what the board, what we're looking at here, the things that were clearly not wanted were, in this order, a Frisbee golf course, a pavilion with picnic tables and grills, a pickleball court, a splash pad, and to do nothing there and just let it grow. That clearly came out that none of the nearby residents wanted any of those choices. On the weighted average, a tyke playground came in first. The next three things were very close together, and that was to build a new playground like Sabatino Park, a native prairie with mowed trails, and do not do anything but keep mowing. Those were the options that came in closely together on the average ranking. Now, on a simple yes, no response, the things that will be considered in the future by the board, build a type playground. There were 18 yes responses and 9 no responses. Build a new playground like Sabatino Park, 16 yes responses, 11 no responses. Next one, do not do anything but keep mowing. 14 yeses, 13 no's. And the other one, a native prairie with mowed trails, 13 yeses and 14 no's. So you can see there's a real diverse opinion from the residents that live nearby up there. I would suggest the next step before any lengthy board discussions, we need to hear from the finance committee what funds, if any, might be available to earmark towards this park. Budget talks, I believe, started in February. So unless anybody wants to discuss further, I don't see any sense in discussing putting in a park like Sabatino if we don't have any money to do it.
Oh, we know Sabatino cost us what, $155,000?
Yeah, that I mentioned that at the previous meeting. An estimate to do like Sabatino would be $143,500. So, I mean,
You would miniaturize it?
I'm trying not to give a personal opinion, but to want something and to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's quite a different thing.
I think it's given us a lot to think about, and I think you and I both have addressed the cost of it, of whether or not we can actually create another playground up there right now. I don't know if we have the finances for it. Plus, in the actual large survey that we did send out to everybody, one of the big things was kind of costs, and parks, if I recall, wasn't necessarily the highest one up there. It was more interest in roads and other aspects. And with about 300 people responding to the large survey, I think 50 said that they utilize the parks regularly. I mean, I'd like to encourage more people to do so, but considering the percentages there, yeah, I'd like to see the survey open up and find out what finance says too. That's a good point. And also, there were some really good detailed remarks. Those are the ones I printed out. And this might have been consistent. I'm wondering if this person is not as anonymous. I think they addressed us a week ago, but the person who wrote out the map of what they kind of proposed, I think is probably one of the more fiscally responsible ones that we could look at, because we're not looking at setting up a playground. There's just a couple of like lighter ideas of amenities that aren't bringing parking lots, while we could still figure something out, but there's some structure. So there's some ideas in there that we could still look towards without investing too much just yet.
Right.
And yeah, talk to people. So thanks to everybody for responding. That's good.
That's all I have to report.
All right, thank you, Ed. Okay. Finance, Mr. Thorne.
Unless Mr. Dan has something to add, I have no report.
Nothing for me.
Okay,
We're good.
fair enough. All right, thank you both, gentlemen. Water and sewer. Ms. Bo.
I have nothing to report specifically with the village. Thank you for giving me the time to review ordinance from last meeting. I had time to follow up on questions and everything looks wonderful. So when we get to old business, I look forward to moving that along.
All right, fair enough. Thank you, Bob. Police and Public Safety, Mr. Diatley is not with us this evening. The chief is not with us this evening. There's a sergeant in the back of the room, but she's shaking her head no. Okay. Thank you, Sergeant. We'll move on to Public Buildings and Environment. Wire is not here, did not leave a report. We move on to Building and Zoning. Ms. Thomas?
No report for me, just an update. I have a little update. I have a meeting on Wednesday, for the, with the Pool Aquatics Committee.
Okay.
I scheduled that with the Park District Board, so that will be on Wednesday evening.
All right.
And I'm trying to find out, because a couple people have asked if they could attend, and I'm trying to find out if this is just with the Park District Board and this Aquatics Committee. And if the public can be, and because it's the first time that we're seeing drawings and piecemeal stuff that they've come up with, so I'm gonna get back to those people.
All right. Fair enough. Thank you, Kelly. We move into old business. Old business. We've got ordinance 2023-3. One, we had an issue with the clarification and the insertion of a definition. We have a motion to so approve.
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Bo, seconded by Thorne to approve ordinance 2023, an ordinance providing clarification of water and sewer rates and charges. Any other comments, questions, or discussion?
I just have one question, if anybody has a recollection, because I couldn't find it in the minutes or the meeting recording. The only thing I wondered was the very first, when you have the connection charges, when you have the residential ones, it was just a flat fee of 4,000 or 1,200 for sewage. And I noticed for the multiple dwelling buildings, multiple room dwellings, houses. It was by rate, by unit, by day, but all the variables were there. And so I was just wondering why it was set up. For any multifamily building, the connection fee will be assessed per unit at a rate of $15 per gallon of usage based on an average daily water consumption of 350 gallons per day. I was just curious why that wasn't just averaged out to what it would be a month. And it was done the same way for both water and sewer, and I just wasn't sure if it was just two different styles. Nobody recalls offhand. Okay.
No. No. Mr. Van, you
I thought potentially it was like a big ability to prorate things depending on when construction or connection started, but either way, it was just curious.
okay,
So it was a good read. Thank you.
sure, there's lots of good reasons. I'll tell you, if you ever have trouble sleeping at night.
I have my book at home. It's not this thick.
Or need minor surgery without anesthetic.
There you go.
Think could work.
You need a root canal,
That's right.
read the book.
Before you proceed on this, but the village attorney prepared ordinance 2024-12, which as the ordinance clarifying and correcting the provision of 20.
Okay, so what we want to call for is 2024-12.
Correct,
An ordinance amending and clarifying ordinance 2023-3.
that is correct.
Okay,
And-
we have a motion on that?
Yes.
And a second on that.
Mhm.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2024-12, which is an ordinance of modifying and clarifying ordinance 2023-3. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Being none, roll call, please.
Ms. Thomas,
I,
Ms. Bo,
Hi.
Mr. Horn.
Aye.
Mr. Harney, excuse me, Mr. Thorne. Used to be Thorny for a while. but
Yeah, be careful,
I
be
had
careful.
to split them up. Okay, it's four in favor.
4 affirmative votes,
Yeah.
no negative votes, the motion so carries. Thank you, one and all. Okay, is there any other old business to come before the board? There being no other old business to come before the board, new business, any new business to come before the board?
I move to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Those opposed, we are adjourned. Thank those who attended remotely, appreciate it. And the rest of you, have a good holiday.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Hey, give me those park surveys, I'm gonna take some people around and meet, they can't refuse. You know?
Can't.
I grew up in Chicago, I'll take care of this. It's a great boss.
Shows up at the door.
Finance.
All right.
Oh.